Good evening. Well, this is very big news. In fact, the most substantial news we've heard since this rivalry really erupted 9 months ago, and the feud has been the tensions between the two Asian giants has been incredibly high for the past year, even the start of this year. The details relate to one particular section of the disputed border called the line of actual control, and that's an area called Pangong Lake. One of the areas of dispute was the lake itself has these little stretches of land that stick out into the lake that are called fingers. Now, China had moved from finger number 8, which is the most eastern part of the lake, towards the centre to finger number 4, and that's where they occupied for many months. India said that territory was not theirs and they should pull back. So India had pushed forward as well. That's on the north side of the lake. On the south side, we also had different troops trying to outmaneuver and outposition each other. So this particular agreement sees that forces along Pangong Lake will withdraw to their pre-April position. So China will go back to east of finger 8, which is the most eastern point of the lake, whereas India will be at the third finger as well. So that's the initial agreement. All structures that have been set up since and between these two fingers will be dismantled, and there will also be a buffer zone, so troops will no longer patrol in between these points. And that was one of the issues that caused confrontations. Because the border is so unclear, you had these patrolling troops moving into turf that they regarded as their own, but the other country said was their territory. So now both forces won't patrol in this buffer zone as well, to hopefully try and bring some stability back.
Do you think it'll succeed, James? Will both sides withdraw peacefully?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Last year, during de-escalation or disengagement talks, was actually when we had the worst violence on the border. That was at a different stretch of the line of actual control, an area called Galwan Valley. During disengagement talks there, the Indian side is that they went to remove a Chinese tent that wasn't meant to be there, and then violence broke out between the two sides. That was the worst violence between the two countries since the mid-1970s, and we had 20 Indian soldiers killed and an unknown number of Chinese soldiers killed. And since then, there's been a lot of tension between the two sides. So the fact that that occurred during disengagement is worrying, and we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
Do you think this agreement means the standoff is resolved?
Well, really, as I mentioned, the devil is in the detail. Even the Indian Defence Minister has said that there's still a lot of issues that both sides have to discuss. We've talked about the Pangong Lake, which is an area that has been scuffles before, but we haven't talked about the Galwan Valley, and there's still a lot of detail that needs to be discussed in terms of disengagement and a time plan to actually get these two forces to withdraw. The other thing as well is that there's so much distrust between these two sides. So even though that there might be this high level of agreement, how the soldiers behave on the ground is another matter. So with so much distrust and with, I guess, patriotism and nationalism at such heights, considering the past violence, both forces will have to be very careful to not reignite the situation again.
Indeed, a tense situation it is. James Oaten, thanks so much.